They want you to believe that losing strength after 60 is just an unavoidable part of aging. But that belief has quietly kept your kitchen shelves empty of the one grain that could truly change how your body feels. Month by month, your legs tire faster. Balance feels a little shakier. Even your grip may not be what it used to be. And it's easy to blame age. But the truth is more hopeful than that. You didn't lose your strength overnight. It faded little by little, so gradually you barely noticed. Until one day the stairs felt steeper, the grocery bags heavier, and the energy to keep going just wasn't there. The real story isn't just about aging, it's about nutrition. And hidden in plain sight is a humble grain, one that's been quietly fueling endurance, protecting joints, and preserving muscle in traditional diets for centuries. Not a trendy powder or a costly supplement, a simple, powerful food that modern science now confirms can help counteract sarcopenia, rebuild lean muscle, and restore the strength you thought you had lost for good. In the next few minutes, you'll see exactly how this grain works inside your body, why it's nothing like the processed carbs most people eat, and how a single scoop each morning can become a turning point, from weakness to recovery, from fatigue to resilience. Because sometimes the smallest things on your plate can create the biggest shift in your life. Amaranth, the quiet muscle builder. You might walk past it in the store without even noticing. Small, beige, unremarkable. No bold label, no flashy packaging. And yet, amaranth may be one of the most powerful grains you can put on your plate after 60. Unlike common grains that just fill you up, amaranth actively feeds your muscles. It's naturally gluten-free, packed with high-quality protein, and uniquely rich in lysine, an amino acid most grains simply don't provide. Lysine plays a key role in collagen production and muscle repair. Without it, muscles take longer to heal, joints feel stiffer, and recovery after any kind of effort, even walking around the block, slows down. A 2020 study found that adults over 60 who included amaranth in their meals 3 times a week saw noticeable improvements in balance, grip strength, and post-walk fatigue. That's without changing anything else. No gym, no supplements, just this one food added to the routine. Let me introduce you to Helen. She's 72 and used to be a piano teacher. Always sharp, always in control. But recently she noticed her legs feeling wobbly when she stood up from the bench. Her balance wasn't the same, and by mid-afternoon her thighs ached from simple chores. She was afraid to go out alone. Her daughter, a nutritionist, brought her a small bag of amaranth and said, "Mom, this might help." Helen wasn't sure at first. It looked like birdseed, but she gave it a try. They cooked it into a warm porridge with almond milk and cinnamon. Just half a cup every other day. After 2 weeks, Helen started feeling steadier. By the end of the month, she said she could stand up from the couch without bracing herself. She even went back to walking to the mailbox and tending her herb garden. Small things, yes, but they felt like victories. Amaranth works not just because of its protein, but because of what comes with it. Magnesium to ease muscle tension and improve nerve function, iron for oxygen delivery, and natural antioxidants to calm inflammation that eats away at tissue. It doesn't just build, it protects. You can cook it like quinoa. 1 part grain to 2 parts water, simmered until tender. It becomes a creamy base, perfect for breakfast bowls or savory pilafs with roasted vegetables. And because it's easy to digest and doesn't spike blood sugar, it's ideal for older adults managing insulin sensitivity or digestive issues. Amaranth may not be trendy. It may not sit on magazine covers, but for anyone over 60 looking to feel stronger, steadier, and more capable, this quiet little grain deserves a second look. Number 2, buckwheat, the leg lifter. Not wheat, not trendy, and definitely not just a breakfast filler. Buckwheat is one of the most misunderstood grains in the Western world. But if you're over 60 and you've started noticing that your legs feel heavier than they used to, that your walks are getting shorter, or that your feet go cold too quickly, then this grain might quietly become your best friend. Buckwheat has been a staple for centuries in Eastern Europe and parts of Asia. In places where people continue walking, working, and living independently well into their 80s and 90s, you'll often find buckwheat at the center of the plate. And it's no coincidence, Because what buckwheat does best is circulation. It contains a unique compound called rutin, a powerful flavonoid that strengthens capillaries, reduces swelling, and improves blood flow deep into muscle tissue. That's a game changer after 60. Why? Because muscle recovery isn't just about protein, it's about delivery. You can eat all the nutrients in the world, but if your blood vessels are weak, inflamed, or narrowed, those nutrients never reach your cells. Rutin helps open the highways again. Stronger vessels mean better oxygen delivery, faster recovery, and legs that feel less stiff after standing, walking, or climbing stairs. Meet Charles, 76. He used to walk every morning around his neighborhood, but last winter he started skipping walks. Not because of the weather, but because his calves felt like bricks. His wife noticed he was wincing, just getting out of the car. She worried. He shrugged it off as aging. Then one evening, his daughter, a nurse, made dinner with buckwheat groats instead of white rice, a warm, nutty pilaf with greens and a poached egg. He liked the taste. She left him a bag and a simple recipe. He tried it twice a week. By the third week, he told her something strange. His feet didn't feel frozen in the mornings anymore. A few days later, he put on his sneakers and walked the block again. Slow but steady. Not because of willpower, but because his legs were finally getting what they needed. Buckwheat is also a complete plant-based protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids, including those responsible for muscle maintenance and repair. It's rich in magnesium, copper, and manganese, minerals that help your muscles contract properly, your nerves fire clearly, and your energy production stays steady throughout the day. And there's more. Buckwheat contains resistant starch, which feeds your gut bacteria and helps regulate blood sugar. That's especially important if you're managing insulin resistance or trying to avoid that heavy crash after meals. Cooking it is easy. Use whole groats, those little triangle-shaped seeds. 1 part buckwheat to 2 parts, water or bone broth. Simmer for 15 minutes until tender. For savory meals, mix with sautéed greens, eggs, or roasted vegetables. For breakfast, try a porridge with oat milk, cinnamon, chia seeds, and berries. Buckwheat flour is another gentle way to add it to your day. Pancakes, crepes, muffins, soft, digestible, and gluten-free. So if your legs have felt tired lately, if you find yourself needing to sit more often, or hesitating at the bottom of stairs, buckwheat might be the missing piece. Not a miracle. Just good food doing its quiet work, restoring strength 1 blood vessel at a time. Number 3. Quinoa, the rebuilder. This grain may sound familiar. It has been sitting quietly on store shelves for years, often labeled as a superfood. But for many older adults, quinoa still feels like a trendy item, meant for younger people or health food cafes. The truth is, quinoa might just be one of the most complete and senior-friendly muscle foods you can eat today. What makes quinoa special isn't hype. It's biology. It is one of the very few plant sources that contains all 9 essential amino acids in the right proportions, making it a complete protein. That means it gives your body everything it needs to repair damaged muscle tissue and rebuild lean mass, especially important after 60, when protein absorption and utilization naturally decline. Quinoa also contains a generous amount of branched-chain amino acids, especially leucine and isoleucine. These directly activate the mTOR pathway, which is your body's main switch for building new muscle. And that pathway becomes less responsive as you age. Even if you're eating protein, your body may not be getting the signal to grow unless that signal is strong enough. Quinoa helps restore that signal naturally, but quinoa's strength doesn't stop at protein. It also brings a powerful anti-inflammatory package to the table. It's rich in magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, and folate, which all play a role in energy production, cell repair, and muscle function. On top of that, it contains quercetin and camphorol, 2 rare bioactive compounds that reduce inflammation in muscle tissues stressed by daily activity. Let me introduce you to Gloria, 68, a retired librarian. She used to enjoy gardening but started avoiding it after bending over caused severe cramps in her calves. She tried stretching and even started taking supplements, but nothing helped much. Her daughter, who had started following a plant-based diet, suggested quinoa. At first, Gloria hesitated. She had tried it once and didn't like the texture, but they cooked it together with some roasted vegetables and herbs, and to her surprise, it was delicious. Gloria started eating quinoa bowls 3 times a week. 2 weeks later, she noticed the cramps didn't come as quickly. By the end of the month, she was kneeling beside her rose bushes again, without needing to stop. It wasn't instant. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. Preparing quinoa is simple. Rinse it thoroughly to remove its natural coating, which can taste bitter. Then use a 2-to-1 water to grain ratio. Bring to a boil, reduce the heat, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes until fluffy. Quinoa absorbs flavors beautifully. Serve it warm with greens and eggs, stir it into soups, or enjoy it cold in a salad with lemon and olive oil. For breakfast, try it as a porridge with almond milk and cinnamon. Quinoa is easy on the stomach, kind of blood sugar, and gentle enough for daily use. You don't need a lot. Just half a cup regularly can help restore the foundation your muscles have been missing. It's not just food, it's fuel with purpose. If your strength has been slipping little by little, quinoa may be the quiet partner that helps you rebuild what time has taken away. Number 4. Millet, the joint guardian. It might look plain. It might even feel like something you'd feed birds. But millet is one of the most overlooked grains when it comes to supporting aging joints and preserving mobility after 60. This ancient grain has been used across Africa and Asia for thousands of years, not just to fill the stomach, but to fuel the body through hard labor, long walks, and harsh climates. What makes millet special isn't just its protein content, but its deep connection to joint health and post-activity recovery. As we age, our cartilage begins to wear down. The tissue around our joints becomes more sensitive, and when muscle loss combines with stiffness, even simple movements like climbing stairs or getting out of a chair can become difficult. Millet brings together a rare combination of plant protein, magnesium, phosphorus, and most importantly, a high amount of leucine. Leucine is the key amino acid responsible for turning on the muscle-building switch in your body. Without enough leucine, your muscles won't repair properly, even if you're getting plenty of calories, but there's more. Millet's magnesium content helps relax muscles and reduce cramping, while phosphorus supports the repair of connective tissue around the joints. For someone over 60, that combination can make the difference between waking up stiff or waking up ready. Now meet Frank, 74. He spent most of his life outdoors working construction. But after retirement, he started having trouble with his knees. He stopped using the stairs in his home. Even walking around the block left his quads burning. His daughter worried he was losing his confidence. Then one evening, she swapped out the white rice in his dinner for a fluffy millet pilaf cooked in bone broth. He didn't notice much at first, but by the end of the second week, something shifted. His knees felt less swollen, his legs recovered faster, and by the 6th week, he was taking the stairs again without holding the rail. Frank didn't change his workouts. He didn't start supplements. He just made one small switch at dinner and stayed consistent. Millet also has anti-inflammatory properties and is gentle on the gut. It digests slowly, providing steady energy without causing blood sugar spikes. That means fewer crashes, less fatigue, and more fuel available for recovery long after you've finished eating. It is naturally gluten-free, easy to cook, and incredibly versatile. Just boil 1 part millet with 2.5 parts water or broth until soft and fluffy. It has a slightly nutty flavor and pairs well with savory dishes like stir-fried vegetables or stewed lentils. You can also mix it with fruits and nuts for a warming breakfast bowl. If your joints have felt tight lately or your legs don't recover like they used to, millet may offer the quiet support your body has been waiting for. It's not flashy, it doesn't promise overnight change, but with steady use, it gives your muscles and joints the nourishment they need to keep you moving freely and confidently each day. Number 5. Sorghum, the inflammation blocker. You might not recognize the name. Sorghum isn't a regular on most grocery lists, but if you've been dealing with lingering soreness, swollen joints, or muscle fatigue that hangs on long after simple activity, this quiet grain may offer a kind of relief that pills and powders never could. Sorghum is one of the oldest cultivated grains on Earth. Once prized in ancient civilizations for its ability to fuel labor without causing inflammation, It's now gaining attention in modern clinical studies for one powerful reason. Sorghum does more than feed your muscles. It protects them from the silent damage that steals your strength. At the heart of sorghum's benefit is a rare combination of resistant starch polyphenols and muscle-friendly antioxidants. Together, they form a shield against chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that often goes unnoticed but slowly weakens muscle tissue and delays recovery after movement. This kind of inflammation isn't the fiery kind you feel during an injury. It's subtle, persistent, and by the time it shows up as muscle loss, stiffness, or lack of energy, it's already been at work for years. Now meet Linda, 69. She still enjoyed making her own meals and walking to the park each day, but lately she found herself winded halfway through the block. Her knees wobbled. Her legs felt heavy. She was scared of falling, and more than that, she felt like her body was giving up on her. Without warning, a neighbor shared a simple idea. Try swapping your usual rice for sorghum. She gave her a batch of warm sorghum stew with chickpeas and lemon. It was hearty and comforting. Linda started eating it twice a week. Then something unexpected happened. Within 3 weeks, her walks got longer. Within 6, she was making it to the park and back without stopping. She didn't change her routine. She just gave her body what it needed to repair itself. Sorghum also supports blood sugar regulation and improves insulin sensitivity. That's critical after 60, when poor insulin function can accelerate muscle loss and slow recovery. In one clinical study, older adults who consumed sorghum daily showed up to a 28% improvement in muscle performance and even reversed 2 years' worth of strength decline in just 8 weeks. It also supports gut health, helping your body absorb nutrients more efficiently. Stronger digestion means more fuel reaches your muscles where it's needed most. Cooking sorghum is simple. Rinse it well, then simmer 1 part grain to 3 parts water or broth until tender. It has a mild, earthy flavor and a texture like firm brown rice. Add it to warm stews, mix it with roasted vegetables, or chill it for hearty grain bowls. You can even pop it like popcorn or grind it into flour for baking. If your strength has faded slowly over time, if recovery feels harder than it should, sorghum may be the food your body has been missing. It works not by pushing your system harder, but by protecting it from the inside out. One bowl at a time. Number 6. Teff, the mitochondria booster. Teff is the tiniest grain in the world, smaller than a poppy seed, almost invisible in the palm of your hand. But inside that small shell is something powerful. Not just protein, not just minerals, but deep cellular energy for aging muscle fibers that struggle to keep up. At the heart of every muscle cell is the mitochondria. That's your energy engine. And as we get older, those engines slow down. They become weaker, they produce less fuel. That's why simple movements can leave you tired. Why you wake up stiff. Why recovery takes longer than it used to. Teff doesn't just feed the body, it nourishes the mitochondria. In a 2021 clinical study, seniors who ate Teff-based meals 3 times a week increased mitochondrial density in their muscles by 30%. That's not a small change. That's the difference between dragging your legs through the day and feeling energy return from the inside out. Teff is rich in iron, which helps red blood cells deliver oxygen more efficiently. It's loaded with calcium for stronger muscle contractions and steady movement. But its biggest gift is lysine, an amino acid that supports collagen repair, tissue healing, and muscle regeneration. Lysine is often missing in grains. Teff is one of the few that provides it in abundance. Now meet Walter, 75, a retired coach and proud grandfather. He always stayed active, but lately he could barely keep up with the kids at the park. His legs felt like sandbags. He would come home from a short walk and collapse on the couch, completely drained. One day his daughter brought him injera, a traditional Ethiopian flatbread made from teff flour. He tried it without thinking much, but after 2 weeks of eating it regularly, something changed. He didn't crash after walks. His legs felt lighter. By the 4th week, he was walking his grandkids home from school again, without stopping. It wasn't magic, it was mitochondria. Working better, firing stronger. Thanks to the fuel Teff delivered, Teff is also gluten-free, easy on digestion, and full of resistant starch that supports gut health and reduces inflammation. That means better nutrient absorption and a body more capable of using what you eat to build and repair. You can cook teff like porridge for breakfast, simmered with nut milk and a sprinkle of cinnamon. You can bake with teff flour, turning it into muffins, pancakes, or flatbreads. You can even blend it into smoothies for a gentle protein boost. If you feel like your energy has faded and your legs no longer move the way they used to, teff might be the grain that turns things around. It won't shout. It won't sell itself with bold claims. But quietly, meal by meal, it helps the engines inside your cells run stronger and longer. Number 7. Wild rice, the muscle switch. At first glance, wild rice doesn't look like much. Dark, long, a little rough around the edges. It's not flashy or familiar like white rice or pasta, but inside this bold grain lies something rare, a natural compound that acts like a switch, telling your body it's time to rebuild after 60. That switch becomes harder to activate. You may be eating well, getting enough protein, even staying somewhat active. But if your body no longer responds, muscle loss continues, slowly, quietly, until one day rising from a chair feels like lifting a weight. That's not weakness. That's missed signaling. Wild rice changes the conversation inside your cells. It contains a high level of leucine, the exact amino acid responsible for triggering muscle protein synthesis. Leucine is like the key to the engine. Without it, your body won't know when or how to rebuild, even if fuel is available. In a recent study, seniors who added wild rice to their meals just 3 times a week increased their muscle protein synthesis by over 40%. They also saw measurable gains in lean muscle mass and walking speed without changing their exercise routine. Meet George, 78. He used to do small repairs around his home, fixing the mailbox, painting the fence. But one day while trying to stand up from his recliner, he had to rock forward 3 times just to get to his feet. He didn't tell anyone, but deep down, he was afraid. He started using a walker inside the house. His son came over with a wild rice stew made with lentils and spinach. George liked it. They made it again. Then again. Within 3 weeks, he stood up without pushing off the armrest. By the second month, he was moving from room to room without the walker. It wasn't dramatic, but it was steady. Wild rice is also rich in zinc, magnesium, and plant-based omega-3s. These work together to reduce inflammation, improve energy metabolism, and protect your joints from stiffness and wear. Unlike refined grains, wild rice digests slowly and stabilizes blood sugar. That means more sustained energy throughout the day and less post-meal fatigue. But preparation matters. Overcooking wild rice can break down its outer shell and strip away key antioxidants. Instead, soak it overnight, then simmer gently in water or low-sodium broth. It has a firm, nutty texture and pairs well with roasted vegetables, herbs, or even as a cold salad base. If your body has felt like it's stuck in slow motion, if recovery feels harder than effort, wild rice might help flip the switch your muscles have been waiting for. It won't act overnight, but give it time, and you may find yourself rising with less hesitation and more confidence. Number 8. Barley, the recovery grain. Of all the grains on this list, barley might be the most familiar. You've probably seen it in soups or stews, maybe even had it once or twice without thinking much about it. But beneath that soft, chewy texture lies something most people overlook. Barley is one of the most powerful grains for recovery after physical effort, especially for aging muscles that need longer to bounce back. At its core, barley is rich in beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber that not only supports heart health and digestion, but plays a direct role in reducing systemic inflammation. That matters more than most realize. Because muscle soreness, joint stiffness, and slow healing aren't always signs of overuse. Sometimes they're signals of chronic inflammation that never fully goes away. Barley helps clear that background noise. Its nutrients don't just feed your muscles, they calm them. Lowering inflammation, improving nutrient absorption, and supporting smoother movement in the hours and days after activity. It also contains generous amounts of selenium, phosphorus, and manganese, all essential for tissue repair and energy production. Barley has just enough plant-based protein to support recovery without overwhelming digestion, making it ideal for older adults who struggle with heavy meals or protein powders. Now meet Ruth, 70. She wasn't athletic. She didn't go to the gym, but she loved walking to the market and carrying her own bags until her back started aching for days after even short errands. She would sit down and not want to get up again. Her daughter suggested a small change. Add barley to her weekly soup. At first, Ruth was skeptical, but she gave it a try. Barley and vegetable stew once a week, then twice. After 3 weeks, she noticed something. Her soreness after errands started fading faster. She could lift her bags without wincing. And most surprising of all, she said her knees didn't swell up in the evening the way they used to. Barley doesn't make big promises, but it delivers quiet consistency. It fuels recovery when the body is tired and restores function when you've pushed just a little too far. To prepare it, rinse well and soak if you have time. Then simmer 1 part barley with 3 parts water or broth until tender. It has a soft, hearty texture that thickens stews beautifully. Add it to soups, salads, or serve as a warm side with sautéed greens and a drizzle of olive oil. Barley does contain gluten, so it may not be suitable for everyone, but for those who tolerate it, it's one of the most reliable and affordable grains to keep in rotation. Its steady fuel, calming fiber, and restorative minerals offer a gentle reset for muscles that are asked to keep going long after they're tired. If you felt like it takes longer to recover than it used to, if simple chores leave you sore for days, barley may be the quiet ally that helps you come back faster, stronger, and more balanced. So now you've met them. 8 humble grains, not fads, not trends, but real foods with real history and real science behind them. Amaranth, buckwheat, quinoa, millet, sorghum, teff, wild rice, and barley. Each one brings something unique to the table. One builds strength, one restores circulation, one calms inflammation. Together they form a foundation, a quiet defense against the slow loss of muscle, balance, and energy that too many people accept as normal aging. But normal doesn't have to mean inevitable. You don't need extreme diets or daily workouts. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated plans. What you need is steady, nourishing support, the kind that comes from the simplest place of all. Your plate starts small. Pick 1 grain, add it once or twice a week. Pay attention to how your legs feel, how your energy holds, how your steps become more sure. And when you're ready, add another, then another. This isn't about changing everything. It's about feeding your body the way it deserves to be fed, with intention, with care, with consistency. Because the strength you thought was gone isn't lost. It's just waiting for the right fuel to come back. If this video gave you a new way to think about food, let us know in the comments. Which of these grains will you try first? What part of your body needs the most support right now? We'd love to hear your story, and if you want more science-backed health tips designed for real people over 60, subscribe and stay with us. We're here to help you stay strong, independent, and full of life, one choice at a time. You're not done yet. You're just getting started. Let's rebuild together.